Hello, and welcome to this live video. I'm excited to go live again. And today we are going to be looking at future-proofing your English. I'll explain what that is in a minute. But I just want to remind myself more than anything that while there might not be anyone, or maybe just a few people on the actual live part of the video, there are many of you that watch on the replay. And so welcome to those of you who may choose to join the live, and also a big welcome to those of you on the replay. And those of you on the replay, I would really recommend and encourage you to join in on the questions that are asked and to make it as interactive as possible. Thousands of people watched the last live that I did on the replay, and many of you commented in the comment section. And I went back and I replied to your comments, and I was delighted to see that you were there on the replay. So I just wanted to make that really clear, that welcome to those of you on the live and welcome to those of you on the replay. I would love to know, where are you from? Where are you listening in from? Where are you in the world? And I would like you to, if you want to, and if there are, I would like you to tell me about the nuances of that. What do I mean by that? Well, if I was to tell you where I am from, I would say I am British. But you might have noticed I have a bit of a Canadian accent because I lived in Canada for 15 years and my heart is in Brazil. I'm married to a Brazilian. I lived there for a few years and I love Brazil. So the answer to the question, Sarah, where are you from, is a little bit complicated because when I'm in Canada, people ask if I'm from Scotland. When I'm in Scotland, people ask if I'm from Canada. And I know that's the same for many of you. You might be living in a different place than where you were born, or you might have different national identities, be a third generation person. So a few of you in the other live said, oh, I'm from this country, but I'm currently living here. So tell me the nuances, the little details. And I would love to say a big welcome. Hello from Vietnam. Hi, welcome to the live. I'm glad you're here. Okay, and those of you watching on the replay, do go ahead and tell me where you're from. I get a big kick out of it. To get a kick out of something means to enjoy it. If we haven't met, my name is Sarah Rocha Coelho. I am a native English speaker, married to a Brazilian, hence the Brazilian name. I'm a Brazilian Portuguese learner, dual qualified professional educator, and I've been teaching for over 24 years. Dual qualified in my context means I'm qualified to teach what they used to call ESL, English as a Second Language, but now they call it ESOL and EAL and all these different things. But I'm qualified to teach English to people who are learning English, but I'm also qualified to teach English to native speakers. And that's what I do for my day job. I work in I did. I just muted my mic. I'm going to try and not do that. I'm dual qualified to teach English to learners who are learning English and English to native speakers, English literature and language, which is what I do for my day job. We are looking at how to future-proof your English skills. What does future-proofing mean? Why is it important in life, but also particularly with business English? And when we're talking about your professional life and your career, have you heard that term future-proofing? If you want to take a guess at the definition, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, I would love to see if you challenge yourself to use that word in a sentence. So what do you think future-proofing means? Why is it important? Well, future-proofing means protecting something for the future, making it work for the future. So, for example, you might have in your company that you work in, there might be a set of computers, maybe 100 computers for you for several departments. And the manager might say, we need to future proof our technology. So let's talk about budgeting for buying more computers in the future. Let's talk about what computers we will need to replace at the end of this year. Let's talk about when we will need to upgrade our computers. Today, maybe we have all the computers that we need, but are we prepared for tomorrow? So future proofing means preparing for tomorrow. So in that context of an IT department in a company, they might talk about future proofing our technology suite. And that means planning and budgeting and preparing to have to replace machines. When we talk about future proofing our career, what we are meaning is preparing for changes that will happen in the future. And in particular, we're going to look at future proofing our careers and our English in terms of all the changes that are coming with AI. So I'm going to share with you the Gen I, not taining, oh my goodness, not taining, training. There's a typo, a small error in my title. I'm going to share with you the Gen I training that I went to and the insights that I gleaned from that training. So to glean means to obtain information, often with difficulty. So I went to a Gen I training that was funded by Education Scotland, my employer, with my day job. And it was also in connection with the Future Skills Department for the Department of Education. And also sponsored, connected to, organized with a really amazing organization called Daydream Believers. And they are folks who are pushing forward the idea of teaching creative thinking within schools. And I think that's a really valuable step forward to have a real focus on creative thinking to the extent that they've developed a qualification that people can do. So I went to this training about generative AI for English teachers, and I want to share with you things that will be useful for you as an English learner. The training itself was a breath of fresh air. If something is a breath of fresh air, it means that it made a situation feel new and exciting. So often when I go to trainings as a teacher, we talk about the same things, and we often talk about, unfortunately, we talk about problems and things that we're stuck with, and it can feel over time like nothing changes and we don't actually reach any solutions. So this was a breath of fresh air to speak to people who have new and creative and innovative ideas. I went to the training in Glasgow and I had to walk down Sauchiehall Street. That's a really, really long, long street. Like it would take you half an hour to walk or more to walk down the whole street. And keeps muting itself. Goodness. Last time I was on Sauchiehall Street, I met a mother who turned to me and said, "Can you help me carry my baby?" Which was such a strange thing to ask, um, but a really powerful experience because I did help her carry her child for a really long way as we both walked along the street. And that memory has always stood out to me as like one of the peak moments of connection and human kindness because it was such a desperate plea that she had, and it was such a moment of connecting with someone randomly. So as I was going there, I was thinking about the power of human kindness, and coincidentally, that turned out to be one of the big um, things that we talked about during the day. It also felt like I had come full circle in that I used to study in Glasgow, and I often wondered whether I'd made the right choice going to Glasgow University to study English and whether I should have gone to the Glasgow School of Art. So I was in a really fortunate situation where I felt like the younger me would have been proud of myself for going there to this training. And I would invite you to think about that in a year or 5 years or 10 years. What would you like to be proud of yourself for? What goal would you hope you've achieved? How would you like to have come full circle in what you're learning? One of the things that we started with on the training was this Chinese proverb: when the winds of change blow, some build walls and some build windmills. What does it mean? Um, if you are here live, thank you for being here. And if you are on the replay, go ahead and put in the comments, what do you think that means? How does it apply to your life? For me, I feel like this proverb was a good way to start the workshop because there are many winds of change at the moment. There are a lot of things happening in the world that are shifting and changing how we've always done things. And it can be very scary. And I notice some people that are terrified of AI and some people that are embracing AI. And many people like myself who are both at different times. And so we started by talking about this fear and talking about the need for using AI ethically and questioning our own ethics and having a focus on being responsible about how we use AI. So, how do you feel about AI? Are you of two minds? Do you feel like me that you are sometimes terrified by it and sometimes feel like it is a breath of fresh air? I am definitely of two minds about AI. Tell me in the comments, how do you feel about AI? Okay, in the description, I'm going to share all of the teaching tools that I learned about through that workshop. And that will be really valuable if you're an English teacher, because I know that a lot of English teachers follow my work. One of the most valuable that I came across that day was called Magic School AI, but I will share others as well in the description once this live is finished. And I'll also remind you about some of the AI English learning tools that I have created. Okay, what were the big takeaways from this workshop and how does it apply to you and your business English and future-proofing your English in your career? Well, these are the things that I feel were the big takeaways, the big lessons. A takeaway is a lesson. Creative thinking, process-centered learning, resilience and adaptability, and mindset. And all of those four categories are really important for you in your business English learning. And I'll provide you with an overview of them briefly and some things that you can do today to start changing the way that you learn English. So, when we're talking about AI, we sometimes feel that AI takes away our creativity, it does everything for us. And conversely, they talked a lot in this workshop about how um, AI being able to do many things for us will actually give us opportunity and space to be more creative. And that one way that you can future proof your career is by putting a focus on creative thinking and, in particular, storytelling. So they started with a quote from Andrew Stanton, who is a Pixar employee writer, I believe. And he always talks about the focus of the importance of story. And so his quote is, "Tell me a story, make me care." And I think this is really important to consider when we think about how AI can be scary in um, making us robotic or too focused on um, production. And so it was really powerful to start with this idea of AI can help us can free up time and space and energy so that we can be more human. So, what does that mean in your English learning? Well, you want to really focus on the power of story as a tool to connect with people. And I would really recommend that you really intentionally think about the stories that you are able to tell to connect with people and that you practice them, that you um, actually experiment with using them and you listen well to others in the conversation as you use them and you seek feedback. So, when I say go ahead and practice stories that will help you connect with others, what kind of stories are important for business English? Here's a list of a few that you might want to consider. And you might want to pause this if you're watching it on the replay and think about, okay, today, could I write down a brief overview of one of these types of stories? Could I practice with AI, with Chat GPT, actually saying a story that fits into one of these categories? And could I ask for feedback from AI as to how I can improve? Then the next chance I have an opportunity in a business English setting, I will go ahead and make sure that I share um, a story that will really put my ideas across in an impactful way. So, client success stories, for example, are really powerful if you are talking about a product that your company produces or a service that you offer. Rather than saying, our product has XYZ, you talk about the transformation that a client has gone through or experienced. What were they like before? What were they like after? And you tell the story, the human story of their success. So you can use AI to help you prepare and plan and get feedback. And then you go and deliver that human story in a business setting. That's something that is elevating how you are connecting with others using AI. So I would encourage you to really start to think about, okay, how can I be more of a creative thinker? How can I include story in the way that I am delivering things? And how can I practice these stories on my own? Practice in private so that you will have really positive experiences in public. So tell me in the comments, which one of these stories are you going to go and think about and practice? Okay, number 2, process-centered learning. So AI is part of the process of learning and discovering, not the final product. So in that example that I gave you, you use AI to come up with ideas. You use AI to plan out your writing about your story. You use AI to practice speaking and to ask for feedback. But it's you, the human, who actually delivers the product of the story. I think that is the biggest and best use of AI is when you are using it within the process of making something, but it's a human connection that is the actual final product. So, what does that mean in your English learning? Well, it means a focus on creative thinking, communication skills, relationship building skills, empathy, and emotional intelligence. So, it means getting out there and connecting with people once you have worked on your skills privately. And that was a big piece of what we focused on in this workshop was the fear of AI is lessened or helped when we take a moment to think about how the best case scenario of AI is it allows us to be more human. And as teachers, our mission is that the people that we teach, we're able to say, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. And so the best case uses of AI is when we double down on all that makes us human because we are using AI in the process of learning or creating. To double down on something means to do more of it. The worst case use of AI is we all get taken over by robots and we work robotically. The best case use of AI is that it gives us space to be more human, to double down on the things that make us human. And in the workshop, I really felt appreciated. I felt like they were living their values of I see you, I hear you, you matter. They really looked after us. It was a fun day. They gave us amazing food and treats. And we were focused on using AI, and learning about AI and discovering how to teach with AI. But it was a very human experience where I really felt appreciated and loved by the workshop leaders, which was amazing. So, the best case use of AI is something that helps us double down on all that makes us human. And that leads me to number 3, resilience and adaptability. There is so much that is changing in the world, that to future proof our careers and the way that we use English, we need to be resilient. That means able to overcome obstacles, and we need to be able to be adaptable because things become obsolete quickly. Obsolete meaning not useful. An example from the teaching world is that feedback is so easily mimicked or copied by AI, it should cause us to question the value of the type of feedback we give. So, for example, I have always valued the feedback that I write in my students' jotters and the advice that I give them. And it is really scary to think that AI can take that part of my classroom teaching job over and can do it better. But if I am adaptable, free thinking, and resilient, I can look at it and say, okay, if AI can do that, then it's not a very human task. Can I let AI give written feedback? And can I focus on connecting one on one with people and asking them their opinion about their feedback or giving, some more insight? And so part of future proofing when we're using AI is to think about how are we going to need to be resilient and adaptable. And then the last thing that was a really big takeaway that will definitely be applicable for your English learning is having a really positive mindset about all of these changes because change can be difficult. And one way that they showed us to do that is to really embrace change. Within the process of learning, they talk about the idea of fail and fix. And so they asked us to consider that we should throw in curveballs being something that is unexpected. And that when we are going through the learning process, we should actually introduce and allow curveballs, unexpected things. So a curveball is introduced to force failure, um, which sounds strange, doesn't it? To force failure. So part of the learning process is to encourage or even force, like allow and create failure in order to go and fix it. So the example that we worked with was that we were asked to create a podcast. And just when the podcast was almost ready, the workshop folks said, okay, now you need to change it and make your podcast applicable for French speakers. Huge curveball, right? We were almost finished and they introduced a massive change. And it was stressful, but that mimics the process of learning, that we need to fail and then we need to fix it and we need to reflect on how we fixed it. So I would encourage you to think about, are you allowing yourself to fail? Are you putting yourself out there into situations where you will fail? And are you feeling sad and desperate and anxious about failure, or are you welcoming failure as part of the learning process, welcoming curveballs? Here's a curveball for you. What is your favorite brew? A brew meaning a drink, a tea usually. Do you like coffee or tea? Tell me in the comment section. That's my curveball, my unexpected thing that I will add in here. Okay, in terms of mindset, in the workshop, we talked about fail and fix, allowing and creating even failure. And we talked about having a yes and mindset. So yes and is basically a positive mindset. Rather than saying, I can't do that, no, no, that doesn't work. No, that would be too hard. No, too difficult. I don't want to do that. Being open-minded and allowing new experiences and saying, yes, and maybe I'm worried. Yes, I'm going to do it and it will be difficult. Yes, and I am a bit anxious. So here are some things that you can do today to start future-proofing your English, to start pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You can join Facebook groups where English native speakers gather, not connected to English. So look for business groups, look for entrepreneurial groups, look for groups where everyone is a native English speaker. Join those Facebook groups and start communicating in English. And yes, and I'm going to be stressed about it. Yes, and it might be difficult to find a group, but I'm going to have a positive mindset and keep going. Join Toastmasters and practice there. Volunteer to speak to native English speakers at work. Take the opportunities that come along, even if it's difficult. Take initiative and be proactive and actually use AI. And try to notice in your internal experience, are you shutting things down, saying no quickly, or are you able to say immediately yes to everything? And maybe there's some extra things to consider, but it's still a yes. So yes, I'm going to join those Facebook groups, and I'll have to figure out which ones. Yes, I'm going to join Toastmasters, and it'll be stressful. Yes, I'm going to speak to native English speakers every opportunity that I get, and I might be a bit worried about that. Yes, I'm going to use AI, and I might have to study how to do that. Okay, so consider how you can start today having a yes and approach to things, because there's a lot of change coming in the world, and the more adaptable, resilient, flexible you're able to be, the more open to learning experiences you are, then the more breaths of fresh air you will have in your experience, the more you will be able to future-proof your career and your business English usage. Last thing that they left us with at the workshop was this idea of don't get ready, start. So don't spend a lot of time researching this, considering it, preparing, talking yourself out of it. Don't do all of that, just start. So I'd love for you to share in the comment, what new thing are you going to try today? And what do you feel about that idea of don't get ready, start? I know myself that it's really hard to put my money where my mouth is. Now, to do that means to take action that is consistent with the opinions that I've expressed. So I've told you, take action, have a yes and mindset, allow yourself to fail, do difficult things, try new things that are stressful, push yourself out of your comfort zone. I've told you to try all these things. Now I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, as I am going to experiment with doing a 30-day live challenge. So I'm going to go live every day for 30 days, starting on Monday the 13th of May. Am I ready to do this? No. I would prefer maybe a month or two to prepare, to create course materials that would support the learners that come on the lives, to make beautiful slides and to make everything perfect. But I know that 2 months from now, I might not still be ready. 3 months from now, I might not be. And I noticed that tendency in myself to move at a very slow pace and to try to make everything perfect. So I am going to experiment with this myself, this idea of don't get ready, start. I will be prepared. I will have thought about it carefully, but I am not going to need everything to be perfect before I begin. I am just going to take on a new challenge, work in a different way, and experiment and see what happens. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to do what I am suggesting you should do. And if you'd like to join me on those daily challenges where we will look at a different set of business English idioms each day, then I would be delighted if you want to join me. I would really suggest that you go back through this video and have a look at the suggestions that were put up on the slides as I went through, and that you choose one of them and you take action today, because that was a lot of information that I gave you, and it can be overwhelming sometimes to know how to get started. I would suggest that you choose one thing and you start today taking action. I would love to know if you've got any questions or comments. If you could put them in the comment section, I will return and I will answer every single one of your comments. I so appreciate those of you that are here. Hello, Wasim. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of you who joined me on this live, and thank you to all of you who are here on the replay. Please ask your questions in the comments. I will come back and I will reply. Thank you, and I hope to see you on Monday. Bye, folks.